Thank you so much. I just wanted to say a couple of words because this is a program that is very close to both of our hearts. And as Willie said, I started out in Colorado in my career as an assistant treatment leader. Well, I started out as a therapist, and I was lucky enough to work as assistant treatment leader under Carol Pitts at the Mom's House. And is Carol here? Because I was looking for her all night and I haven't seen her. She retired this year, but I don't think she's here. But I just wanted to say thank you to her in particular, but to all the people that I worked with, because this is a program that taught me how important mental health is in our society. I work now as a prosecutor, and so I see, unfortunately, I deal with mental health in kind of a different arena, but I see every day the impact that lack of mental health services has in our community. I see it in our victims, I see it in our defendants, I see it in our witnesses, and I think that this is the program that really holds the key to changing the way that we interact with human beings on a day-to-day basis. And I also just wanted to say, is Hildegard over there? Oh. So Hildegard is famous for a lot of sayings, and but one of her favorite sayings, whenever we would have a really awful day, when one of our kids would do something that we really were hoping she would not, or maybe she was doing something really terrible like getting arrested, or we would have lots of bad days. And we continued to have bad days after our girls would leave, and we would think that we had taught them so well. We thought we'd given them the tools that they would need to succeed. And when they would fail and we would be really sad, Hildegard would always tell us that what we do in this job is we plant seeds. And we plant seeds so that one day, maybe it didn't work on this particular day when this young lady made a bad decision, but down the line, we planted this seed, and so she would make a better decision next time. And I wanted Hildegard to know that those seeds that this program has planted is not only for the children and the young people that come through it, but it's also for the staff that have come through it, because she has planted so many seeds in me that I use on a daily basis. I think so often of things that she has taught me and Carol Pitts has taught me and other people that I've worked with in this program about what we know about mental health and what we know about humanity. And at the end of the day, Hildegard always tells us that we peddle truth and hope. And she has taught so many generations of people now to peddle truth and hope. So I would just like to thank her and everyone. We are peddlers of truth and hope.
Thank you all so much for having us. I would like to, as Willie mentioned, I had the privilege of working on staff too, and I think Courtney and I both agree it's by far the hardest job you'll ever love. And so would all of the staff of Third Way who are here tonight please stand for a minute for an incredibly well-earned and well-deserved round of applause. Identify these people so you can hug them and buy them a drink at some point later tonight, because they probably deserve both. So I want to tell a very quick story about Third Way and about Hildegard as well, and you can tell Courtney and I did not plan our comments because they overlap. But the story, and I've think about this story a lot when I think about what I've learned at Third Way and the work that we try to do. And the quick story is, when I worked at the school, the program that Third Way has set up is that the students come to the school during the day. But as teachers and school leaders, we would constantly communicate with the treatment leaders and the therapists at the house to know what was happening in a child's life so we could try to help. And it was my first job as a principal. Another profound thank you out to Hildegard that she took a risk on me and gave me my first job here in Colorado. And we were struggling. I remember early on in my first year with a student we couldn't seem to reach. And I had called Hildegard a couple times and said, we can't find success with this girl. I'll call her Tasha. I need some help. And Hildegard said, you know, why don't you come over to the house and just sit with me in a session I'm having with her tomorrow? And I said, okay, great. Any help you can give us, I'd love to take. So I go and sit, and before the session starts, Hildegard tells me two things. She says, the first thing you should know, Mike, is yes, Tasha's having a very hard time right now because she has a big family meeting with her mom tomorrow, and she has not seen her mom in 3 years at this point. The second thing you should know is the reason why she hasn't seen her mom in 3 years is because for the 6 years before that, her mom prostituted her on Colfax, sold her from age about 8 or 9 up until age 15. And so by the time social services got to her, she had been prostituted on the streets of Denver for most of her childhood. So this is not going to be an easy meeting. So I think, okay. So I go and I sit in and I watch this conversation between Hildegard and Tasha. And she comes in, and of course she is pacing back and forth across this tiny office like a sort of caged animal, and won't sit down, and is can't stop talking in a stream of consciousness. And Hildegard listens and listens, and finally pulls over right next to Tasha and says, "Tasha, I need to tell you something. You will never have a healthy relationship with your mom." And Tasha explodes. She starts throwing things, and how dare you? You don't know my family. You don't know me. What gives you the right? And sort of everything in the office is up in the air or on the ground or knocked over, until after about 2 or 3 minutes, she finally just collapses into a heap on the couch and just starts sobbing. And as she's sobbing, Hildegard rolls her chair over right next to her and says, but, if you make it through this meeting tomorrow, you will someday have a healthy relationship with your own family, your own kids. And Tasha picks up her head, and tears streaming down her face, says, "You think I could really have that?" Hildegard says, "Yes. Yes, I think you could." And meeting ends, she walks out. And I, of course, in all of my 28-year-old wisdom, say to Hildegard, "Why did you do that? Why did you tell her that she would never have a good relationship with her mom? You don't know. It might go great tomorrow. They might come in. They might hug. Everything's going to be okay." And she grabs me by the collar and she says, "Michael?" I knew I was in trouble whenever she called me Michael. And I have never forgotten this phrase, and obviously neither has Courtney. And she says, "Michael, there are only 2 things we offer to children: truth and hope. And the power of truth is that if you don't tell her the truth, she is going to wake up every morning looking for a world that doesn't exist. If you don't give her some hope, she's never going to have a reason to get out of bed to look for any world at all. Because the reality is that a story of truth without hope just sets us up for failure. Right? But a story of hope without truth only sets us up for fantasy. And so for me, Third Way is a place that is about truth and hope. And the truth is, the world breaks people in unbelievable and unbearable ways. And the truth is, those people at the broken places hand on that hurt to their own kids and the next generation of kids in a way that keeps that cycle of hurt going for what seems like forever. The hope is, it is actually possible to heal people in those broken places. Right? In the hands of folks like Hildegard and the people at Third Way, it is possible to bind those people back up into someone that can head back out into the world and build their own healthy family. And Hildegard, we got to 4 years later see Tasha with her little 2-year-old boy. We ran into him at Chuck E. Cheese. And they were happy. And they were healthy. And they were making their way. And that little boy will inherit a world where he is not broken in all the places that his mom was broken. And that's because you and your team had the courage and the dedication to find her and heal her back up in a way that meant she could carry on into the world that was ahead. And so for me, the truth is, there is a lot of really important and hard work to do. The hope is, it is possible to actually break this cycle where you don't see more and more little kids who come to us broken all over again. But to do that, the truth is, we need your help, which is, there is not enough resources in the state budget to support the work that needs to be done here, and the only way you get to all the kids that need us the most is through your support and your generosity. So if you ever wanted to say, where is it that I sign up for something that helps change the world, you found your place tonight. You found the place where you can make that difference. And so with that, I just want to thank you so much for coming. I want to thank you for being a part of this, and I want to thank you for everything you can do tonight and in the years to come to make sure that every single child that's been broken has a chance to find their way into this family and to find their way on into building their own healthy family. Thanks so much for being here.